Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 6. What a surprise. So ever since Comic-Con of this year, or actually sorry, last year, or San Diego Comic-Con of last year, we have known that our old mate Wally West would be back this season, of course at The Flash Season 6, and of course with his return comes the return of a fellow member of The Flash, well, that being Kid Flash, because spoiler alert, but Wally West is Kid Flash. Now, he was supposed to appear in the show last season outside of his appearance in episode 1, of course, so he was meant to return at some stage. But for reasons, whatever they might be, that did not occur, unfortunately, which might have been a good thing if you really look back at it, saying that he probably would have just been overshadowed by Nora in regards to the writing department because she was such a main focus last season. I really would have struggled to have seen like Wally come in and have some sort of even like half decent impact. But we were assured or promised, I guess you could say, that Wally would be back this season. Initially, we were told that he would be back for a multi-episode arc, but for now, at least, it seems it is now just one sole episode, which is going to be episode 14. Unless he returns right towards the end of the season, to help Barry and some stuff like that. Who knows, but that's unknown at this stage. We'll have to wait and see what happens there. But in this video, we're going to go over some information regarding Wally's return, that being, what is going down in the episode specifically where he returns, as well as what is going on with Wally specifically himself and some changes. But of course, throughout the video, be sure to let me know all of your various opinions in the comment section down below, any theories you have as well. Are you excited for Wally to come back? Just let me know all of that stuff in the comment section down below. I want to hear your opinions. And of course, if you are going to enjoy the video and you're looking forward to Wally coming back and what this episode does entail, why not drop a like on the video to show your support and with that, excitement. Now, the first thing I do want to say, as I said, this is episode 14 that Wally's coming back. This episode is unfortunately being delayed by 1 week from March the 3rd. That's when it was meant to air originally, now to March 10th. Now, the reason that it's been delayed 1 week is because Super Tuesday in America is now on March 3rd, and this is where I guess they decide the leader of the opposition party. I think that's going to go against Trump. I think it is. I don't really care for American politics. I think that's what it is, but whatever the reason might be, maybe Super Tuesday is just maybe there's a raffle or something like that. Someone wins a prize. I don't know what it is, but that's the reason for the 1 week delay. Politics. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be an episode of The Flash this week. It just won't be a new episode. So that week, on March 3rd, they are replaying what a hell of an episode to play on that day. Love is a Battlefield. That's the episode that's playing, which was the Daddy Likes the Metal episode, which I know was most people's favorite episode of the season. So I'm sure we'll all be tuning in to watch that again. I'll catch you all then. Maybe I'll do another review on that episode. Who knows? But yeah, we're going to go over the synopsis for episode 14, which some of you might already know is entitled Death of the Speed Force. So that should get you interested enough just based on the title. But yeah, let's read it out. Kid Flash returns to Central City with a zen attitude and new tricks up his sleeve. While thrilled to see his family again, Wally confides to Barry that he returned because he thinks there is something wrong with the Speed Force. Meanwhile, Cisco returns from his fact-finding mission across Earth Prime. So the first thing I do want to bring up, and I was sort of like, oh, okay, well that's a bit of a mistake from not only myself, but I guess some other people as well, and that's that Cisco comes back this episode. Obviously, this goes against what Eric Wallace was apparently said in an interview which I referenced in my trailer breakdown for episode 13. I said that Cisco's back in episode 13 because Eric Wallace said in an interview that he was, and I hadn't seen this synopsis at that point. So I guess I retract anything I said in that video in regards to Cisco and any theories, I guess. I'm guessing either Eric Wallace, who is the showrunner for The Flash, got confused in that interview and just accidentally misquoted the episode, or the actual outlet that interviewed him about the episode and wrote that number down got it wrong. I'm not too sure, but at least we know Cisco returns in episode 14, not 13, so yeah. But obviously the main part of this episode will be Wally is back in Central City. He's back from Tibet. I think that's where he's actually been, but he will have some new tricks. Well, what are those new tricks? Well, obviously it's referring to abilities. I'm interested to see just in general what Wally is like when he comes back. There is obviously theories going around that he will have a new suit. I don't know if they'd make him a completely new suit for one episode. There might be some changes to his suit, which would be pretty cool. Maybe it's a bit shinier. Maybe he has a new emblem, maybe a new headpiece, or maybe something's different with his headpiece. Various things like that. I'm sure there'll be little changes here just because he's been gone for a while. But the main thing I think they're going to really hammer home is some new abilities. And TV Line had like a little quote-unquote scoop that they decided to share, even though I don't think it's that new. I think other outlets have talked about it before, but it's better just to read their stuff out. So someone asked them anything on what to expect from Wally's return to The Flash, and this is what they said. Showrunner Eric Wallace already teased it as part of our Season 6 6B preview, but I of course saved some additional victuals for a rainy day and or this column. It's going to be quite exciting, he said of former cast member Keenan Lonsdale's return in this season's 14th episode, Death of the Speed Force. When I first talked to Keenan about it, he was very excited about what he called this fresh take on Wally, and once on set, he was loving the new Wally West. And that's not an exaggeration at all. It's the same character that we know and love, but he has grown, deepened, and changed. And he might even have some new abilities. So Wally does have some like distinct abilities in the comics that sort of set him apart. Like he can take speed and various things like that, or share speed in general. He can even create his suit from the Speed Force. So his suit can be just generated from the actual Speed Force and be made up of the power, I guess you could say, from the Speed Force. That would be pretty cool. I would actually love if that's actually the ability, because they wouldn't have to change his suit, but it's a difference with the suit, if that makes sense, because it's actually generated from the Speed Force. I think one of his abilities, or at least maybe multiple of his abilities, or at least the new ability he gets in this episode, will have something to do with resolving the issue, or at least helping with the issue that's going on in this episode. That will probably be the main reason he gets that ability, but I think it'll be still cool regardless, because we get to see it in action and how it can be useful. So I'm excited to see just how Wally's changed. Wally has always been shortchanged on the show, really after season 2 when he was introduced. Like I think they actually did a better job when he didn't have his powers than when he had his powers. So hopefully with Eric Wallace here, they're not being a speedster on the show outside of obviously Barry, will help Wally in this episode and just give him another chance. Like that's hopefully like the best thing. There's always been some issue that's always been in the way of him standing out. And I really love it if Wally is almost the main character of this episode. I know people are going to be like, well, I want Barry to be. I think Wally deserves the chance to be the main character of an episode, at least get the time to shine. So I'd love it if it's in this episode, because I just think he's had a rough run, and there's a reason that Keenan Lonsdale hasn't wanted to come back. And I think this episode and I guess the premise for this would be the reason that Keenan would be like, yes, I'm in, let's go. But obviously something is wrong with the Speed Force, so what is it? Well, it could just be something within the Speed Force itself. Maybe it's lacking a power source, maybe it's something to do with Barry's connection to it or something like that. But there's obviously the overarching villain for this season, or threat, which is Black Hole, which in the comics had stuff to do with Speed Force energy, so it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to believe that it's associated with them. That's a high possibility, and it wouldn't surprise me if that's what it is, or at least towards the end of the episode we find out that's what the issue was. A new speedster could be something that's going on there. Obviously Wally just says there's something wrong with the Speed Force, or maybe this new speedster is a bit corrupt and he's tapping into the positive Speed Force energy when maybe they should be attached to the negative Speed Force energy or something like that, or maybe they're stuck in between. As I said, the negative Speed Force could be some sort of issue there which could be playing into everything. Another thing is that maybe there's other forces trying to use the Speed Force for more evil purposes, you know. As I said, Black Hole could be tied to that, but it could be some other people outside of that. Obviously, when we looked at the fact that Grodd was coming back, and then this episode was called Death of the Speed Force, we thought that maybe they were doing a take on the Perfect Storm arc from DC Rebirth. This whole season has basically been DC Rebirth, so it wouldn't be too surprising if they did that. It will be interesting to see if there's any sort of tie-in with Grodd in the previous episode into this episode. You never know, maybe he's in this episode as well. So keep your eyes out for that, especially in this week's episode, because they might tease something to do with Grodd, which would be pretty cool. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but you know, if they're doing some comic book stuff, then they might tie Grodd into this as well. But one of the cool things when you bring in the Speed Force, and I guess the Speed Force being in threat, is that we could see past speedsters back for this episode. You know, with the death of the Speed Force, you'd expect that. So in regards to, I guess, good ones, Jay Garrick could be one you'd expect to maybe show up and help out. Depending if he wants to, I guess, where he's definitely hung up the helmet and he's not doing anything anymore like that. But it'd be cool if Jay Garrick was involved. But then obviously there is even some, you know, beings of the Speed Force, like Black Flash. Could we see him in there? Could Black Flash be in the Speed Force and make an appearance and go, hello, what are you doing in here? Well, he wouldn't say that because he doesn't really talk, does he? He'd go, or something like that, some weird noise. People are going to clip that of me saying that. Anyway, so we could see Black Flash. That wouldn't surprise me at all, especially because a lot of the time he is just CGI. So I wouldn't be... I'd honestly say expect Black Flash. Don't 100% expect him, but I'd expect him, to be completely honest. And then obviously there's a big boy of Reverse Flash. A lot of people are already predicting Reverse Flash to show up in this episode. Like Wally and Barry are meant to be fighting one of the Flash's greatest enemies. So is it Reverse Flash? Is it Grodd? You'd have to put your money on Reverse Flash. They've already got Tom Cavanaugh there. They've already, like, Eobard Thawne's, like, Harrison Wells is in this week's episode. Obviously, in, like, it's like a pre-particle accelerator version, but it's still him. So it wouldn't be too surprising at all if Reverse Flash is there. Like, I think you'd expect Reverse Flash more than Black Flash. Let's have both. Why not both? But I guess the last question to ask about this episode and just Wally in general is, will this be Wally's last ever episode? And if he had appeared last season with Todd Helbing in charge, I think that would have been his last ever episode and they would have written him off. They would have written off Wally in some way, shape or form, whatever way they wanted to do it. But with Eric Wallace in charge, I think Kenan Lonsdale really likes Eric Wallace. I think most of the cast like Eric Wallace. I think they will do something interesting with him to the point where he might come back. I'm not going to say he's going to be a regular, like he's going to come back and be a main cast member like we saw in season 2 and 3. 3 for the most part. But it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if, or was it season 4? Season 4 where he went a bit weird and was hardly in the season, wasn't it? Where he left early. So like season 2 and 3, he was like a main cast member for the most part. I'm not expecting him to come back and fill that role. But I think, if Kenan's up for it, it wouldn't surprise me if we saw him in like 2 or 3 episodes a season going forward. And even maybe later in the season as well if, he's up for whatever Eric Wallace wants to do and his schedule allows it. So yeah, as I said, if it was last season, I would have said, yeah, that's it for Wally. But with Eric Wallace in charge and him wanting to do this and the new change with Wally, I think we'll be seeing more of him going forward. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could, drop a like on the video to show your support. Let me know in the comments section down below your various opinions on this and any theories you have. Who's going to be returning this episode in your opinion? Reverse Flash, Black Flash, Jay Garrick, anyone else? Let me know in the comments section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.